We got a wonderful day here talking club shafts. Look, I'm Steve Scott, your host, PGA Professional, and we've got Chad Embry, the National Sales Manager from Fujikura, alongside Nick Sherburne, Master Fitter and Builder and co-founder of Club Champion, the fitting behemoth that is taking over the world. And can't thank you guys enough for spending a little time talking gear shop here.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. This is what we do. So it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for bringing us on.
Tell us where you are right now and what you're up to in your respective fields now.
Well, I'm here in Chicago at our headquarters. We got about 20,000 square foot building here where we do all the building for all our locations nationwide. So, if you get a club done in LA or New York or wherever, the club specs are sent here, we build them. But this is also the home of our training program where we Club Champion University, where we train all our fitters for 1 month before they go in the field. So, right now we're busy as can be, which is weird for late September. With COVID, people are playing golf and they're playing a lot of it. And so it's good things for Club Champion, and I'm sure Fujikura as well.
Yeah, and I'm here in Southern California, Carlsbad to be specific. I guess you can call it the Golf Mecca, down the street from TaylorMade, Callaway, Cobra, you name it. Another beautiful day here. And I'm in the fitting studio, and as you can see behind me, a little rack of shafts that we toy around with on occasion. We are simply trying to keep up with Club Champion's demand, for goodness sake. They're moving through shafts, which is awesome for us, which is great for them. And like Nick said, the industry is never been busier, which creates good problems to have, I guess, is what I'm supposed to say. But right now, we're just trying to get shafts in because they are moving really fast.
Nick, I was able to actually, I've been lucky enough to tour your facility there just outside of Chicago in Northbrook. And I like you mentioned before, your club fitters go through a massive undertaking of knowledge for 1 month, if I remember right, and learning all about everything. You're not just throwing them out there like some of maybe the companies out there that are getting into this fitting thing. This is a serious deal that these fitters undertake.
Yeah, one of the big parts when we started this business 20 years ago is it first started with a couple of us that this is what we did, and we knew how to do it. And to really expand it, you were going to have to find more Nick Sherburns or great fitters out there, and that was going to be the toughest part. So what we did is we created a program that we were going to invest in, and we were going to invest up front in our fitters. So not only were we going to go out and find the best people in the industry, we were also going to bring them in and make sure that they had plenty of time before they went out and did live fires, I like to call it, and work with clients that they were completely comfortable, because we do have 45,000 different options and all the different technology. And so we want, when customer or client or golfer comes in, we want them to feel like they're with the expert of all experts in fitting. And so it just takes time, and we're willing to invest in that up front to make sure that happens.
Chad, you've been with Fujikura since 2001. You've been just a huge part of the sales team. I mean, your knowledge is off the charts. I've been lucky enough. We've watched some of your Ask Chad videos. How fun have those been to create?
It's wonderful. The interaction with our end user is kind of what we're all about, and as Nick said, educating who you're fitting and who you're doing business with is extremely important. I have a great time doing it. We get some crazy questions that come in. No matter how many times we answer them, we get more crazy questions that come in on top of that. So it's been a great time. It's been a great ride here. I've seen this company go up from the original Speeder 757 back in 1997 to explosion on Ventus. So it's been a great ride, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Fujikura is the leader at Club Champion. And Nick, I've got to ask you though, just talk about the process a little bit that the fitters go through, and why do you start with the shaft first?
Well, the shaft gets the club head there, and that's always been my belief. And so if you don't have that proper weight shaft, that proper profile shaft, getting into all the little syncrasies of it, but if you don't get that, then the club head won't be delivered correctly. So we really start with the shaft in order to get the head delivered. And then once we get that head delivered, now we can play around with the shafts. And yeah, to your point, Fujikura has been a huge partner of ours. And people go, well, aren't you brand agnostic? Of course we are. We don't sell all Fujikura. Chad doesn't want to hear that. He ignores like it happens. But one of the things Fujikura does so well is they really listen to their clients, and they make price points and shafts for everybody. I always like to point that out sometimes if somebody goes, well, you sell a lot of this brand. Well, good chances, because they create different price points, different profiles, and they have a wide menu for a lot of golfers.
There is a wide menu. There's no question about that. I mean, I think one of the neatest things that I learned about the Club Champion process is the brand agnostic theme, right? But I think that shows even more importance of why Fujikura comes out of the whole race number one at your stores. I mean, people love they love the options, and they love the brand, and they love the feel.
Well, absolutely. And when, it's funny when you mentioned Chad since 2001, and I started, in this business maybe in the late 90s. So Chad was one of my original vendors. And so when I think about it now, it just hit me of a vendor that I've had as long as I've had Fujikura. I don't know if I can name one. So in the shaft industry part of it. So maybe True Temper would be the only one. And so, that's a testament to them to go 20 years of creating great products, and that we've showcased in all the stores.
The Ventus shaft, though, I mean, it's been around since 2019, still relatively new. There's certain life cycles. Talk about some of the life cycles to this shaft and the explosion, really. The Ventus shaft, I mean, I put, for me, I'm a PGA professional. I put my Ventus the blue 6X in this driver right here. And man, I love the feel. I love how smooth it comes off the face. I think it's a fantastic shaft, but there's such an importance about getting fit into that right shaft, isn't there?
Well, absolutely. And I'll let Chad talk about the Ventus, but, from my level, front lines, it's a very interesting shaft to me, because if you would have told me originally that we were going to sell as many Ventus as we would, I probably would have taken the under, only because it's not the cheapest shaft around. But I will tell you what, this thing has been on fire for us. And it is just a really, really great performing shaft. In between the red, the blue, and the black series, it just fits a wide range of profiles and golfers. It's kind of a little of everyone. In fact, I joke around and normally don't like to put two brands together, but if you're old enough to remember the old Pro Force Gold that was yellow and purple and everybody had to have in the late 90s, early 2000s, it almost reminds me of that. It just fits a lot of people, and it's a really great golf shaft, and we've had a lot of luck with it, and it's just been amazing to see what it can do, and the technology speaks for itself. I mean, you got a shaft that a lot of people can swing, or like I like to call load, but it doesn't feel like it's a monster of a golf shaft that you have to overswing it. It's great.
And Chad, what makes so you mentioned about the shaft is the engine of the club, right? It's what gets the club to the golf ball itself. What makes the Ventus engine run?
Great question. The Ventus, in excess of what Nick just laid out, right? I mean, there's something in there for everybody. We got a 50 gram senior flex all the way up to a black X flex, even a TX flex that can fit PGA professionals. And I don't want to get too in the weeds. I know this isn't the time or place. If you're interested in hearing about all the technology, go to our website, give one of our sales guys a call. But it's a multi-material bias core. It uses a pitch 70 ton and a 40 ton material that is full length, and it's really what stabilizes the shaft. On off-center hits, you're going to find the fairway more often. And, I think that's what we're all after here. It's funny when I hear Nick say he would have taken the under. I can only assume that's a betting reference, Nick. And that's really the best way to say it, right? Is I would have taken the under too, to be honest with you. You create a shaft as best you can using all the technology that we have here, the ENSO system, all the materials that our engineers expenditures. And you try to create product that's new and unique in the industry that fits a wide range of golfers. And our engineers have been doing this a long time, as long as I've been in this business, and they created a winner. So we're really stoked to have the Ventus as our in our lineup right now. And I don't want to tip the hat here, but we are coming out with a Ventus hybrid shaft that just recently hit some of the club champions and nationwide. So we're really excited about the Ventus line, and we'll keep adding to it as long as people keep playing it.
Wow, that's some good nuggets right there. Can't wait to chat about that here in a few moments. But the driver, though, people think that we want to just go get fit for a driver, but let's start with the driver really. And if somebody was brand new to club fitting, Nick, or wanted to get in and be fit for the first time, what would their experience look like at one of your stores?
Yeah. You'd come into the store, you'd first sit down with your fitter, and you're going to go through a series of questions. And the fitter wants to understand what you're looking to do that day, what your goals are that day, what you do on the golf course, where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are. And we need to start with that baseline in order to really be very useful in that fit. So we're going to get that. Then once we understand what we're trying to achieve, we're going to go into the fitting bay. And, Club Champion, we use TrackMan launch monitors. And so they'll get in there and they're going to use your current driver as a baseline. You don't have to have your driver, but we love to have your own equipment because it's great to have a baseline to know where you're at with your existing equipment and then where our goal of getting you to is. I think what so many golfers don't realize is there is a optimal. So based on your club head speed and how you deliver the club, there's an optimal position or optimal numbers, launch, spin, ball speed, all those things. And so, once we educate you on that, we can show you, here's where you're at now, here's where you need to go. And then we start working our way through it. And we create it like a science experiment. Let's first get the shaft, then let's get the head, then let's get the swing weight, the length, all those things, and put it all together. And at the end, you can see on the monitor right in front of you where you were at when you walked in, where we're at the end of the fit. And then, the price is what it is and you put a value to it. But, that's the key to a good fit is trying to get to that optimal position. That's what we're trying to do every day at Club Champion.
Well, I think it can be an intimidating process though, can it? I mean, can you get in there and there's all these bells and whistles, you've got all these shaft options when you go into a Club Champion. I mean, 40, how many thousands of combinations do you offer?
We just updated that number because I might have crept a lot more shafts in there than the last time the marketing team counted. Chad, thanks for that. He's part of the problem along with others. But anyway, there's 45,000 plus combinations now on the wall. But, it is intimidating. We get that. And so, my whole thing is we started this when I really got involved in this business and took it to where it was. My goal was to have every golfer get a fitting. My whole explanation was I would go to a PGA Tour tournament and see how these PGA players are dialing in their equipment and go, well, hold on. Why can't everybody do that? But it's always the common thing. It's too expensive. I'm not good enough. All these things. It can be those things, believe me, but it doesn't have to be as long as you have a good fitter guiding you through the process based on what you're looking to achieve. And so that's what we're doing. That's why that pre-fit discussion is so important, is to really understand what you're trying to do. Sometimes we're going to order the clubs from the manufacturer to keep the price down. It's not the best option, but it's better than buying clubs off eBay, which they might have done before. The common thing, I'm not good enough. Well, you want to be good enough. If you don't have the right equipment, you're not going to be ever good enough. So, you're not going to, and the other worry is I'm not consistent. Maybe I come in there and I have a crappy swing. Well, guess what? We're not fitting you off your best swings. We're fitting you off averages. Now, and certainly if the fitter thinks that you're struggling that day and today's not a good day for the fit, they're going to tell you that because we have a perfect guarantee. And so we have to stand behind performance. So I tell people, you commit to the fit first. You get in there, you see what's out there, see what the shaft, the head, everything does for you. You see what's on the table. You get your blueprints, which is your build sheet, and you see what all the cost is, and you decide to do some of it, all of it, or none of it. But at least you know what you have to work towards and what you're leaving on the table.
How many different shafts, though, are kind of a good number if you're trying some shafts out in a fitting? With all those options, how do you narrow that down?
Yeah, that's the difference between a good fitter and a fitter that may not, is trying to do that because you can't swing everything and you don't need to swing everything. And so some people
get tired swinging everything.
Oh, absolutely. And a lot of people leave our fits tired. There's no way around that part. But I will say this, once you start, I would say on average, you're in a driver fit, you're probably going to try somewhere between 5 and 10 shafts. Yeah. And if you're not getting there within 5 or 10 shafts, then probably the fitter's probably not, either there's something wrong that day or the fitter's not doing something quite right. But 5 to 10 shafts, if you're trying to fit, you should be able to narrow it down, because especially in a driver fit, you're looking at, shafts that are 40, 50, 60, 70 grams. So once you nail that weight that's right for the player, now it's finding the profile. And then last is like tweaking the price. So is there a shaft that's going to be a better value for that golfer based on it? And so when I was giving Chad a hard time about the Ventus price, it's a little higher price. So I was thinking, well, but when performance is there, people will buy it. And that's what's been interesting is, people will go, what's the difference between a $300 shaft and a $100 shaft? It could be nothing, but it could be 15 yards. And so then you have to decide, is 15 yards worth it? And in most golfers, I think they would decide if they were using, take a little bit of the money out of it and defray it over time. 200 yards for 15 yards, $200 for 15 yards is a lot.
Yeah, I'd pay that right now for sure. Talking about experience with clubs though, and the driver that I put in the bag, this shaft, this blue Ventus 6X shaft that I put in the bag. One thing I noticed, Chad, was the fact that even on my miss hits with this club, with the driver, the shaft was so stable. Like, how does that work? Because not all shafts work like that.
Yeah, correct. I mean, that just goes back to the multi-material bias core. I mean, that's the whole trick behind the shaft. Is that ability with a lower torque tip section, the multi-material bias core, to help your miss hit or off center hits find fairways more often. And Nick brings up great points. It's a value, right? So if you come into Nick's place and you want to play better golf, it's a value play. If you hit it further and you hit it straighter, that's what you came into the store for. So is a few more dollars worth it to experience what you came in for? And I think most golfers that are serious enough about their game that come in to see Nick, that answers yes every time. So we're again, it's something that engineers do that this little mind and simple mind can't always quite understand. But I do understand the simplicity of hitting more fairways and hitting it longer. So we've been lucky. We're stoked.
And to add on that, I think what's interesting, because, I talk to the everyday golfer, and I always say I talk to golfers like I talk to my dad, who's just an average golfer. I have to explain things a little bit. With like what's interesting about the Ventus is most people don't realize when the head comes, it, gets hit, it twists. And so a lot of times torque is what causes that twist to happen. That's how the shaft twists around itself. And so before, in a lot of designs, the shaft would have a lower torque, which then would feel stiffer and heavier to the golfer, and it would not be good, but it would keep them straighter. What I think is interesting about the design, and not getting into too much with the Ventus, is it doesn't feel super stiff. It doesn't feel super heavy, but it has that torque ability in a different sense that when you get off center, the head doesn't twist as much. And it's been a very interesting shaft for me, and it's been why it's been wildly successful at Club Champions, I believe.
Well, I think that leads us to our next discussion, though, are fairway woods and hybrids. Because look, let's face it, when you have a driver, the ball's on a tee, there's no turf interaction. But the stiffness and the low torque ability of this Ventus shaft, I think, really comes into play a lot more with the fairway wood and the hybrid that's getting all that turf interaction, isn't it?
No question. Anytime that you can have a variable torque up and down the shaft to create the softness that was Nick talking about, or at least the load and unload of the shaft, but then also keep the torsion in the tip section stiff to have the turf interaction that you're talking about, or have that corrective ability on off-center hits that Nick was referring to. So there's no question that having variable torque within the shaft to create what you want works well, depending on what you're after.
Well, and I think that, in Club Champions, what's interesting is we create every fit is different, right? So it's not like you get fit for a driver and then automatically that's your fairway wood shaft or that's your hybrid shaft. We kind of keep them all different. So a lot of times you see this where it's this shaft in the driver, this shaft in the fairway wood, whatever it is. We have seen Ventus play out very well from a driver fit into the fairway woods for that particular golfer. So, which doesn't always happen in a lot of the different other shafts. So that's been interesting. It's also why our fitters are so excited about the hybrid coming out, because they're excited to see if that can just, kind of go into the whole line. And when they're doing a fit, it kind of just simplifies the whole thing.
Well, I can't wait for that. When are we going to see that and have that opportunity to hit those?
We launched that. We sent Nick his demos, and just based on the fact that we're in the rush pandemic here, and he's selling equipment like you can't keep it in stock. I don't know, Nick, you can answer this better than I. Have you got those out to your fitters yet?
No, so we're working on trying to get those out in the next week or so. But yeah, no, unfortunately, because of or fortunately, how busy we are, my build shop's priorities is getting paid customers' orders out first before getting demos. But they're going to be there very soon. They're on the priority rack. So
I would like to think that your priority needs to get him that hybrid shaft as well, Nick. So come on, man. I need your help here, buddy.
I'm working.
Spread them out.
Yeah, there's no question. And look, as golfers though, when all these new products come out, it's like Christmas Eve. You're waiting for that new and that latest and greatest. So whenever it is ready, we are looking forward to that. But then we have irons. We have the Vista Pro shaft, and that's been a huge success in the irons. Talk a little bit about the benefits of that, and maybe the kick points and the ability to launch the ball a little higher than you may normally have been able to launch it.
Well, I'll start on that. Nick does a ton of Vista Pro irons for us. So again, thankful for that. The Vista Pro, along with most of our irons, uses what's called a high density composite core. And again, don't want to get too into the weeds, but it's a way of utilizing material up and down the shaft. So for instance, if we can move weight down the shaft, without creating an extra large wall thickness on the tip, we can keep feel, but we can also make it swing weight properly. So, for example, we have a 45-gram iron shaft that if you flop out with some lightweight steel, you're going to be pretty close in swing weight. And then the heavier you get, the more closely you'll match swing weight from steel shafts. So it comes in a one-link blank. It's easy to work with. It's easy to inventory. And we have weights to handle everybody, and flexes to handle everybody. So the technology in a price point iron shaft is fantastic. The selection is tremendous. And again, I think Nick would attest to that. He carries quite a few of them.
Well, I think the other interesting part about this discussion is that graphite shafts in general, there's so many times that we convert people into it. And there's just so many, thoughts out there on what graphite is. And so it used to be known as this sloppy, inconsistent, lightweight thing. And when we talk about like Fujikura Pro, for example, I mean, that's what is it, like 105, 95, 75 offerings. So now you have graphite shafts that go anywhere from super light, 40 grams, to, heavy up in the 120 grams. And what I think most people, when they say inconsistent, and Chad can correct me if I'm wrong, but your design properties that you can do with graphite, and actually even from a quality control standpoint that you can do with graphite, might even be better than steel in a lot of ways. And so I think more people have to get open-minded to the benefits of graphite in their irons and what that can do for them. And now, I'm not saying rush out, it's for everybody, but I'm also saying keep an open mind when you go to a fitter that not all graphite's the same. And so when you get fit into graphite, keep an open mind on it.
I am saying rush out and get fit into graphite. That's exactly what I would be saying. But you bring up great points. And graphite back in, let's say, 10 years ago, the material wasn't as good as it is now. And so when you talk about the inconsistencies that once were associated with graphite, a lot of that was material based. And you would hear a player that hit them, they'd get a flyer 1 out of every 10 shots. Their distances were not the same consistently. And now that we have graphite with material that's better and the design concepts are better, and like you said, in graphite, I can change so many different layup options within a shaft to make it do whatever you want, whereas steel is kind of just an even wall thickness throughout the entire shaft. So my ability to make something extra tip stiff and butt soft, or vice versa, to create different ball flights and launch characteristics outplays steel left and right. So there is a lot of variety. We have shafts that go from 120 all the way down. Coincidentally, we have 2 players in our office. One has played on the PGA Tour. The other, I think at one point, was a +7. Both play 95 gram graphite in their iron shafts. And so I would implore everybody to try it. It's not your grandfather's graphite anymore. It's a new breed, and it really can handle to any swing that you can put on it, from top swing speeds all the way down to your seniors.
And Nick, so we talk about all these fittings that you do throughout the country. You have over 70 stores now. Your growth has just been exponential in the last few years. But obviously you have all sorts of ranges of handicap. Who benefits the most from a fitting? Yeah,
and that goes back to my earlier point. I mean, most people think only good players come see us. Our average handicap, because we track that, is 14. I think the USGA is 17. So we're just a little bit better than the average handicap. And honestly, most fitters in my company will tell you, who we like fitting? 15s and above. There's so much wrong with their golf bag. Either they've listened to the best player at their club, they've read too many magazines, whatever it is, and then they just all thought it was going to be great for them. And so they come with this, setup that's just completely wrong. And once we start taking that approach of, let's get you clubs, whether it's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 clubs set up in your bag to help you get better at golf, whatever it is, we think outside the box. Let's get it set up, and we can make huge differences in their games. I mean, legitimately 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 strokes in some cases through having a proper fitting. So, we'll fit. We love fitting the best players in the world. That, what? Those fits are easy. They just hit them like machines, and we just put different things until it dials in. That's easy. But, the fittings might be a little tougher with a higher handicapper because you're going to have, a lot of mishits, but at the same time, you're going to make the biggest improvement the quickest with those folks. And so it's really fun when we get the more middle to higher handicaps actually in the store.
Well, with the Fujikura shafts, though, they have had success not only with the higher handicaps, but tour players alike. Dustin Johnson, Tommy Fleetwood, Justin Rose, Matt Kuchar, to name a few. I mean, the success really is all across the board, right, Chad?
Absolutely. That's something we've prided ourselves on since we started this company is being the graphite shaft company that can fit any player that walks through your door. And I think Nick alluded to it a little bit earlier, is that is the benefit of it, is that no matter what player walks through the door, there's something in a price point category and a playing category that's going to fit you and make you feel good about your game and improve it.
What's one of the biggest success stories from a tour player standpoint when they tell us some story that with a tour player jumping into your product and then having some really great success with it?
Man, that's a great question. Man, put on the spot like that, huh? I'll be honest with you. We got some of the best tour reps on the planet. Pat McCoy has been our tour rep for as long as I've been here. We've had a lot of great players play our product. Obviously, Dustin Johnson just won the FedEx Cup a couple weeks ago.
He's okay. He's all right.
That comes with a little bit of a paycheck from what I understand. That's a great success story because we fit him, I want to say 9-10 years ago into a certain particular product. And throughout the years, although many have tried to get that out of his hands, they can't get it out of his hands. That shaft just fits perfectly for him. He won a lot of tournaments throughout his career, culminating with the FedEx Cup. So, as far as individual stories, we've had some PGA pros come into our facility here, hop on our Enso system, and we've actually designed from scratch shafts that fit their swings or do things that they want done out of their shaft. For example, one player came in, he was having excessive toe droop. So we designed a shaft to lessen that toe droop and get him feeling more comfortable with that. He went out and had a second place and a first place. So that's a great story. We've had other players come in that fit into our stock product, but we can show them kind of like a Nick's fitting process where you can show a player, here's what you're hitting now. Here's what we're putting you into. Here's the better accuracy. Here's the more distance. And it gives them confidence to go out and play better during whatever tournament they're going to be in. So we've had a lot of success on the PGA Tour, luckily, throughout our career here at Fujikura.
Hey, Chad, I thought you were going to mention when getting the shaft into my hands and, me playing it.
Yeah, that was one of my better stories for sure. You should go get it. You should show us what that looks like here. We did a custom.
I went on their machine. Chad goes, "I'm going to make you a shaft," and then I got delivered a bowling ball. So I don't know what was being said there.
I was going to send over some shuttlecocks because I thought maybe that would be a little bit better. But
you want me to play badminton? I can't run that much. We're not doing that.
Fair. No, but it is fun because even guys like Nick, we're lucky enough to go out and visit Nick on a couple, 3 times a year, and we do a big golf vacation together all the time. So it's fun to catch up, but we get to watch his swing, and then we can send him some cool stuff that he gets excited about and keeps his enthusiasm for the game going a little bit longer and having some good times. So it really is a great time to be able to fit players individually, all the way from Nicks to the top players on the PGA Tour.
Well, obviously the Ventus has had so much success as of late, in the drivers, in the fairway woods, the hybrids, all across, now the irons as well. What is some of the future things that we can look for out of Fujikura and the club champion relationship?
Well, the relationship to me only gets stronger and stronger. They're going to get everything we get. Hell, they're gonna even dictate maybe some product that we make. Like he said earlier, it is a collaboration because he's in the field, right? So he's seeing every single day through all of his stores what's needed and what he wants to help him sell more products. So it is collaboration, and it's something that we wouldn't work on without. It makes us what we do, and then obviously gives better products to the end user.
Yeah, I think that's what's great about the whole partnership and our, through Fujikura is, they have all this tour stuff and they do that, and that's great. But, it's also listening to us who fit the everyday golfer. And, they're very willing to take what they learn on the PGA Tour and then also what we're learning in the field and then putting together products that work so that, people get excited about it when they see the best players in the world, but then products that they can play themselves and that are going to, have those performance attributes. So it's been a really good partnership. And like he said, I can't see it getting anything but stronger.
Well, we look forward to all of the options and the availabilities out there from Fujikura, and we got to go. I'm going to tell my members, as a PGA professional, I'm going to tell my members of the Outpost Club to go and get fit at Club Champion and dial in that Fujikura shaft if it happens to work the best, which I know it will. So Chad Embry, Nick Sherburne, thank you so much for spending some time with us and talking all this fun stuff about this game that we all love.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. Yeah, thank you. We appreciate the time.